Roasting and baking, two synonymous terms that people associate with different items. So baking would be associated with our cakes, our rolls, our breads. Roasting would be associated with our meats, our potatoes, things like that. So what we're going to do is demonstrate roasting, because what you're going to look for when you're roasting something is a nice, soft, all the way cooked interior, and then you're going to look for a nice crusty or crispy outside. That's the basic principle behind roasting. Baking would be a little bit different, because when you talk about baking with a roll or with cakes and things like that, nobody really associates that crusty exterior with baking. So that's why we're using the terms roasting today, and we're going to demonstrate on a chicken. So with our chicken, one thing to do here is we have our whole chicken, and the first thing I want to do is make sure that there's nothing on the interior. So I'll reach in the cavity here and pull out all this extra stuff. Usually this is the neck, the gizzard, heart maybe, every once in a while, liver, things like that. We'll pull all that out, and then we'll take our little skin flaps here. I'll just kind of pull this excess fat off that. I want to get rid of that. Okay? Get rid of that excess fat. And then what we'll do is we'll take our wings and we'll stuff them back behind, kind of like we were giving him a full Nelson or something. So we pull that back behind here so that the wings don't spread out while it's cooking. So I pull that back there, and then those wings, that'll stay down there and they won't spread out. To tie this, the easiest way I've found is if you cut just a little slit here, just on the inside of the skin, so that it's coming out through the exterior there. So you just have a little hole. Then I'll take this leg and I'll put that leg in here. And then I'll take this leg and I'll go through the same hole. That way, I don't have to use any butcher's twine, and the chicken stays together while I'm cooking. The nice thing about this is that I don't have to use any butcher's twine, and it also takes a lot less time than what we're used to. So we'll just stick that on top of our sheet pan here. I use a layer of parchment paper on here as well, because with the parchment paper, as things cook out of the chicken, it makes it a lot easier to clean up. To season it, all I'm going to do is take a little bit of salt, and I'm just going to go right on top. And I'm going to throw this in an oven and cook it at about 425 degrees in an original or a traditional oven. If you were using a convection oven, you would actually adjust the temperature, because convection ovens traditionally burn about 50 degrees hotter. So if I was wanting to do this at 425, then I would be doing in a convection oven about 375. Our chicken has been roasting in there for probably about 45-50 minutes, so we'll pull it out and take a look at it. Now you can see that the top got a little bit crispy here, and you can see also these are the salt that I put on there. Now the salt, if you put enough on there, it'll actually just come off in these nice little crisps here. And then you can just kind of pull that off, and you don't have that extra salt on there. Now at this point, we can kind of undo the chicken leg here. And there's some things that you're going to want to look for when you do a chicken. When a chicken is done, it will register at 165 degrees. That means that it's cooked all the way through. So when you're using your kitchen thermometers to test things, I'll test it on the inside of the leg here, and I'll make sure that it reads at least 165 degrees. In this case, we're about 170. So we'll put that back in there. We also want to make sure that the joints are loose. Okay, when the joints are loose, that means that the chicken is done. So if I pull on it here and the joints feel nice and loose, that's a good sign. Same thing with the wings. Wings should be a little bit loose. Okay? Also, another thing, the third thing and final thing, is that you should make sure that the juices are running clear. If the juices are running clear, that means that all of those harmful things inside the chicken won't be a factor anymore. It'll be fully cooked. So, juices are running clear, joints are loose, temped at 165 degrees. At this point, our chicken is ready to carve. But since it just came out of the oven, I actually want to let it rest just a little bit. If we let it rest, that'll allow the juices to kind of suck back into the muscle tissues, and that way it stays moist. If we don't do that and we cut into it, then we end up losing a lot of those juices. So keep that in mind when you're roasting your chickens or anything else. And when you're roasting potatoes and things like that, always make sure that the nice crispy skin also goes along with a nice soft center. Sometimes those crispy skins, if the temperature is turned up too high, will be really crispy, but then you have a crunchy interior. So remember these rules and tips when it comes to roasting and baking. You should be just fine.